to our Power Breakfast interview this morning. Now, Mandera has been in the news lately for insecurity, and on Friday last week, Governor Ali Roba escaped yet another attack on his life, in which part of his team was injured and some actually killed. This morning, we want to look at just what is happening and why he is the target of several terrorists, or I don't know whether they're terrorist attacks on his life. And he's joined in the studio by Senator Bill Okero, also Mandera Senator. Karibuni.
Asante.
You're definitely a man of more than 9 lives. Maybe just, sort of take us through the attempts which have been made to take you out and what has become of the aftermath of those attacks, just as an introduction.
Well, thank you. When we came into being as a county, and we were sworn in March 2013, we inherited a county that was literally burning. You find what we inherited was Mandera town, where during the day, the terror cells will be able to come in without being stopped by security, take four-wheel drive vehicles on daily basis and cross back without any attempt from security to stop them. At 5 p.m., the town will literally shut down. The police will lock themselves in their camps. Administration police will do that, and the town is ruled by terrorists throughout the night. We were sworn in under such circumstance where 3 or 4 years preceding when we were sworn in, there has never been a public celebration of a national day. It used to happen at the county commissioner's residence or the county commissioner's office. Such was the harsh...
Not in the field.
Not the stadium. Such was the harsh reality that we walked into as we came into being. Then, as a governor, I said this is unacceptable, and what we started is to start engaging with the security guys. At the time, there was a county commissioner very willing, to engage with the public and that, but he was just looking very helpless at that time. So we called together a security team, and it was myself and the deputy governor only, and we asked them, why is this situation prevailing? The whole night you will hear gun shots, people are getting killed every other day in town, and we say this is not acceptable. Why are the security officers not patrolling? Why don't you have an elaborate plan to secure this town? What came out is that they did not have vehicles for patrol. They did not have fuel. They did not have enough personnel, and we said, fine, can we try, and do the patrols with the little you have? We will hire the vehicles. We hired vehicles, and the patrols commenced. However, the police patrols started, and at 9 o'clock, they all go back to the camp, and we confronted again, series of engagement. Why can't they patrol throughout the night? And they say they fear for their lives. Then I ask, we have KPRs. How many KPRs do you have within the surrounding of Mandera town? Mandera town and its surrounding. The number was unknown to even the security officers. And these are guns from the Kenya government, supposed to protect the public.
And they're armed, right?
They are armed by the Kenya government, and they're supposed to be registered and controlled. The actual number was unknown. Now I requested, can we mobilize this team and take stock of what we have? The numbers were determined to be 127, and I said 127 can seriously complement the effort of the police.
Yes.
All we need is to reorganize them into some organized security force that is going to work with the police. We brought them together, all of them, in a meeting, the KPRs, and we asked them, your guns were issued for you to support the public security. Now, what was happening was if Mheshimiwa Bill Okero comes to Mandera, he will ask 2 KPRs to be with him throughout the day, and he will give 1,000 shilling each for that day. So they are providing private security to protect the visitors who are coming. So everybody visiting will prearrange to get the KPRs. But it was not security organized. So what we asked them, they said, we don't have any income, we cannot make a living, so we offered to give them 10,000 shilling monthly allowance.
Right.
And requested Kenya Police now to reorganize them, task them, and they should join the patrols.
Right.
Since they are locals, they were more willing and were able. So the patrols commenced. For 6 months running, we've not had a single incident of, terror attack after the KPRs. We had 7 vehicles, and KPRs only were patrolling for 6 months.
2013,
after we were sworn in.
Yeah.
And the town security started changing, and the public confidence started coming back. Then, the terror cells are with us in Mandera town. They know the routine and everything. 2 attacks occurred. And because the network was very faulty, the communication to give backup did not happen, and both of them ended up in fatalities. Then we reconvened again with the security team, and we started discussing where are the gaps.
Yeah.
Why is it happening? It emerged that they don't have radio communication capability that will be able to function irrespective of network. And I requested the then county commander of police and AP to get in touch with the headquarters and try and get some radio communication so that the military, the police, the administration police, these KPRs are all able to talk to each other on a common frequency so that in the event of an attack, backup will be timely.
Right.
3 months lapsed without any response. So we reconvened as a county government team. We said, well, the security corps and other officers are buying radios off the shelf. Can we find radios that can be strictly coded, that does not have any restriction that we can buy, but that is able to facilitate communication? And we made a decision, and we got such a company, and we purchased radios. We established a radio room, and for the first time ever, twice in a row, terrorists in action were thwarted, and 2 of them were killed at one point. Another 2 were killed. Another time it was an attack on the deputy governor's residence and police, and they were, repulsed. And then the functionality now started working. Right. Of course, terror is business of some sort. Somebody is sponsoring this program, and nobody wants it to fail, Yeah, and so what they had is an absolute control of the environment. So that is what we inherited. Now, the KPRs in Mandera are part of Kenya Police. They're uniformed, disciplined, organized, and tasked every evening as part of that.
So the patrols are on now, overnight?
In Mandera town, it is on, overnight. And
so, in fact, the security arrangement to respond to that threat has been improved. The police are working. So what is the challenge? Is it in the numbers? Is it in the investigative capabilities? Is it in the response?
One of the key challenges is, first, a lot of arrests have been done over the years of terror suspects. Others with evidence, with explosives and that, and they have ended up under mysterious circumstances
being
finding freedom. Oh. And they have gone back to kill. In such cases, 2 chiefs were killed, where the terrorists responded by saying, you are the ones who leaked the information.
So they retaliated? They retaliated,
and they were released. That is a system failure of some sort, which is within our security system and as a whole. The other issue is consistency. There is no consistency in trying to make sure these patrols are happening firmly, consistently, with the same level of diligence. Every so often, I've got to really shout very hard to re-energize, the patrolling that is taking place.
Yes.
And that is supposed to be done. It's not our core function, but unfortunately, as the head of the county government, the first complaint comes to us. You are the
security.
elected leader. It comes to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go to the
Maybe,
Senator.
Senator, can you chip in?
You can tell us, in your view, you have been a leader in this county for years, and he's telling us a story of apathy. What is the reason?
I think the governor is being very polite or economical.
Really?
with the
That
statement,
was
because
disturbing enough.
What really is happening is we have a dysfunctional system in the county that's corrupt, that's not working. When he says there are patrols, that's actually an overstatement. You have a patrol where you find a police commandant or an OCS, maybe accompanied by KPRs. Why would that happen when you have got hundreds of regular policemen? Why are you forced to use 120 KPRs for everything, including guarding his entire county offices, giving him escort all the way, or patrolling the night, when you have GSU, KDF, Kenya Police, AP, everybody by their dozens, hundreds there.
You have the military there.
Yes, we have a military camp in
you have
Mandera
APs.
town. So we have a system that some of us actually literally believe that the leadership of security there, in fact, tolerate if they are not actually working with sympathizers of the terrorists. That's the situation in Mandera today.
But
why would they do that?
I mean, okay, who benefits from
the
Are there, you see, like what happened, let me put the scenario this way. For example, when we had Mungiki in parts of central Kenya and Nairobi, they were extracting living charges and making business out of controlling the town. Is that situation prevalent in Mandera, or what is the benefit of whoever controls the town?
The Senate Committee on Security went there. They talked to hundreds of people from different groups. And people said openly on TV that the problem we have is that is what he's saying now. You arrest people and they're taken in, and people take money and release them. We had a very good, so really it's about the usual thing that we know in Kenya, which is to commercialize every activity. This is why, really, I mean, we have a situation where people lack the confidence to come out and report, and yet they know. They publicly told everybody in public that we actually know who is who in this town. The people who are supervisors, the people who are part of the cells, but they are unable to do anything because if you report,
repercussions.
Nothing happens. And this is a matter that we discussed immediately after the attack on the quarry. We had an opportunity to discuss all these issues with the president, and we expressed our concern that the officers who are there, by and large, one, they do not have the confidence to come out in the evenings and patrol, and these guys take over the place mostly in the evenings. Two, even if it's during the day, they do not have the confidence again to go off the main roads and pursue these people out there. So we say, and three, there is a lack of intelligence. Why is it that everything of ours is reactionary? Our people always react after an incident has happened, when in fact we should be preventing. So we gave a raft of recommendations, really, to try and change the situation in that town. But nothing seems to be done other than increase the number of police.
Whom do we blame?
The new Inspector General of Police was there after this attack happened. Did you meet with him, and what was his general perspective?
I think I just want to respond, to his question. Who do you blame?
Yes.
After we've lost 64 innocent Kenyans, to two terror incidences, an operation command center was established in Mandera. One of the key issues that was agreed should happen on a daily basis is zoned patrol of Mandera town and the road between Mandera and Lafe. And responsibilities were assigned to different security team, military, you have this responsibility that. This was all to be coordinated under the county commissioner, okay? Now, you are in an area characterized by extremes of issues of insecurity, and you are in charge of say making sure that the security is done. We went to the president, we requested for more security. His Excellency the President gave us administration police, the GSU, RDU. We said the military is ill equipped. Military was well equipped. Now, at the level of the presidency, there is very limited. You will give. Well, there are other measures that we've requested that we obviously will not be comfortable to discuss it on the set for tactical security reasons. But the inputs were given, the initial input, and as fast as possible. The rest is whoever, as county government. For 7 months, I'm locked out of any security issues in the county. The former county commissioner, we've worked very closely, and we tried to put all the measures I've discussed in place. A new county commissioner came in, and who believed that the public, the county government, the other leaders have absolutely no role in security matters. Security is national government function, and it's restricted to me and the other security organs. So we have never had a single meeting to discuss the problem. For the 7 months? For the 7 months that is there. We've complained and shared. I shared personally with His Excellency, the Deputy President, the concerns I have. There's disconnect in terms of the system or the two levels of government. We need to synergize. We need to, all efforts, bring the religious leaders, the public, the county government, other leaders, discuss the problem for what it is, and we collectively. No one is trying to take away responsibility that is supposed to be. Now, a fish rots from the head, okay? You have to call a spade a spade. If His Excellency the President could get rid of the IG who sits in Nairobi, we needed more police, more vehicles, and that has been provided. Get rid of the CS who sits in Nairobi. And a county commissioner under whose watch more than 90 Kenyans have lost their lives to terror, in a period of 7 months. Is still in office. And the incidences are happening. 2 days ago, after my attack on my life, there was an attack in Mandera town where 2 Kenyans were killed. Just less than a week before then, there was another attack where a Kenyan was killed and 3 injured in town. A week before that, let me just finish this because it's extremely sad situation. Korome is about 5 kilometers from Mandera town, approximately from the last building. The people who collect firewood, because of the high temperatures, they do it at night. Because the temperature is a bit cooler, tolerable. And some firewood collectors were attacked by terrorists just outside the town. And one was killed at around 1 a.m. The information came because the guns I had from Korome. Korome is a small village. And I called the county commissioner, to find out why wasn't any rescue sent. And he said, the security officers feared they don't have night vision equipment. And as the military has armored vehicles, we've established an operation command center. You're telling me 5 kilometers you cannot go after attackers. Who is in charge? Patrols commenced, for only 4 weeks, while the story of the attacks in Mandera was in the public limelight. The media's coverage was immense. Then, after 4 weeks, it has died. It's not my mandate. Had we been having a forum where we are discussing, we can catalyze, we can pressure, we can say, hey, something is failing. But it completely...
So your argument is that the county commissioner should be removed. How about the police command, the director?
Let me explain. After that incident in the quarry, a new police commandant was brought on board. Very reasonably experienced person. But compare that to what happened in Lamu, where the county commissioner was the first victim, because he is ostensibly the one in charge of security. So despite all the promises, nothing happened until a couple of weeks ago when the transfers of county commissioners were done, and he was one of the members who was moved to another county. And the new county commissioner actually reported. But immediately afterwards, we were advised that OP was told, cancel that transfer and let county commissioner remain. And that instruction came from the from State House. And this is a matter that we've expressed concern about. Why would the government really, particularly the office of the State House, get involved in a transfer of a county commissioner who under his watch all these things are happening, who actually some of us believe, and he has told some of his officers that he is on a mission to make sure that you know, is on a mission to bring down that county. And so we actually, yes.
How is that?
Yes.
To bring down the county for what purposes?
By allowing
the one who is there or the one
who is there now.
The one you want to leave.
And we have demanded, in fact, my position is we are not going to work with that county commissioner. And I think the governor is here, and we made it abundantly clear, and we're telling the government and the Kenyans at large, that is a man on a mission who is working with the people who are sympathizers. I mean, really, our position is very clear.
Senator
we don't want to go into details.
Why would anybody want to bring it down? I mean, that's a very serious.
That's a question you need to put to them.
What is your suspicion?
Why would you want to do it?
I want to answer that.
Yeah.
What reasonable conclusion will you draw, you know, out of, you know, continuous failure, you know, one after the other, and we have 90 Kenyans who have lost, more than 90, who have lost their lives
interferences in people who are arrested.
To
I mean, if we don't go into details.
Listen,
a lot of
let me just say, my offices were attacked and banned. No investigation, no conclusion. We don't know who is after it. This is my lands records issue. My county government headquarters was attacked with an RPG, no investigation. IEDs exploded 3 consecutive times along the route that I use, and 2 of them actually injured, you know, damaged vehicles and injured slightly. Security officers were on that, no investigation. Actually, the county commissioner is on record to having said it's business rivalry, you know, and the signature mark. Yes. When they recruit a terrorist, the first thing they're taught is how to assemble IEDs. Now IEDs are exploding in town, and you're calling it,
Governor,
it's business rivalry. You understand?
Let me add one point.
Let Senator add, and then I'll want to ask you something particular.
Let me add one point.
Yes.
In all this couple of years, when all these things were happening, apart from the people who have been killed, people have been arrested. Suspects have been arrested. To date, there is no conclusive conviction of any of those suspects, or a statement that yes, indeed, the people behind these things are so and so and so and so. The last incident, which happened on the border, because we are normally using this road on the border because the main highway, the B9, is completely in a dilapidated condition, and the national government has completely, despite all pressures, failed to maintain it. That's why we are driving on the border, Somalia border.
Which is maintained by the county government.
Which is maintained by the county government. Now, when these people stand there with rocket-propelled grenades and attack his convoy, including the police vehicle, and killing them, and you go and brief the county, the IG on his visit on Saturday there, that this thing is a bandit attack, it's not terrorist, and it's on news that IG said this is not terrorist. If it is not terrorist attack,
yeah.
I mean, this is the picture they have been trying to create. If it is bandits, then bring the bandits.
In fact, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yes, if it is bandits, tell us who are the bandits.
What perhaps just take us through, you know, what transpired this last attack and why it is terrorism and not any other form of insecurity.
Excellent. While the briefing to the IG was a bandit attack, the radio network used by Al-Shabaab inside Somalia have clearly taken ownership of the attack.
They announced
responsibility. They announced immediately. In Mandera, there was jubilation and celebration. Now, where is our intelligence?
They took
in
the
all
car
honesty?
there. One of the cars they hijacked.
You know, the car that was hijacked was taken there, and there's jubilation, celebration, and you're calling it banditry? You know, when they were attacking, you know, these guys have signature ways of attacking. And they were shouting, you know, as they are hitting, dressed in that. We receive information continuously. On this fateful night, the person who shares, the county director of enforcement, who is an intelligence officer, senior intelligence officer, sent me a text message at around 2 a.m. Unfortunately, I did not get to read the message until I was past Arabia, when I saw the message. And at the same you know, time we saw, there were more than 200 camels on the road. And it's very unusual. It's meant to slow down the vehicles for an attack. I personally asked...
Whose camel?
We've not seen any harder either side of the road. We don't stop, you know. We believe it was meant to stop our vehicles because you will stop for livestock. And I asked my driver to speed off. He veered off the road and continued. So are the security vehicles that was ahead and the one that is right behind my car. And we discussed in the car. We said, this is unusual. You know, this large stock of camel, either side of the road and on the road. I mean, it's not serving, and I don't see anybody.
Yeah.
So we moved past it, and because it's, you know, Maram Road, it's extremely, we veered off and continued on the same speed.
Right.
And because the Maram Road, there's a lot of dust when the vehicles are speeding, so it's very dangerous for a vehicle to be right behind the other vehicle, because there's zero visibility in that. Yeah. So we keep a bit of a distance for visibility purposes. So you find that there's almost a minute or so between each vehicle,
right,
in order to make sure that is happening. So we moved past that point, and I had a bit of, because of the handheld radios that they're communicating, I had a bit of noise on the radio. Then the noise stopped. Then we stopped, you know, and we waited for all the vehicles. That's what we routinely do.
To catch up, so you're in the convoy.
To catch up, and more than 10 minutes lapsed, and that's unusual. It's supposed to be in a span of 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes,
all the vehicles are there. And I requested both the vehicles that were, you know, in front of me and behind me to go back and check, and only for them to go back and find heavy engagement, you know, between the Al-Shabaab terrorists and the last security vehicle that closes the convoy from behind.
Yes.
One vehicle that was right ahead of it, where a prominent, you know, leader, who is the immediate former chairman of county council was in, and principal chief of Mandera were injured were just right in front. The other vehicle was already burning, the security vehicle, you know.
That's the one that was shelled, that was blown by the grenade.
Yes, that's the one that up to now, for me, I clearly don't know. This, you know, how
that happened, how it burnt.
You know, we yet to get to find out how that happened, but the vehicle was.
So who deployed the camels?
We don't know. You know,
so the question is, okay, first.
So what I'm saying is,
your message,
our guys could not access.
The message you had, did it relate to this particular
Absolutely,
setting?
it related in clear specifics. They were saying that you know, there are 15 militia, you know, Al-Shabaab militia, between 15 to 30 have been sighted crossing from Somalia, heading towards that direction.
Right.
Between Arabia and Fino. Their exact, you know, direction is unknown, but the presence is
detected.
And this is from pastoral communities. You know,
you have been quoted saying, why is it reasonable for Kenyan army to be guarding people in Somalia? Well, you are not protected. You know, the other side of Somalia, where the Al-Shabaab are coming from, isn't there any check?
Are there? Yeah, explain that point. That is one of the key failures we've had in the security. We have a situation where 90% of the attacks that we have had in this county from the terrorists is infiltration from across the border,
Yes.
mainly on this road. The quarry was on this road, the bus attack is on this road, and all the other attacks, really, majority of them are on the road, because the road is right on the border. So we have a situation where KDF, we have appealed for the government to do two things. One, 200 kilometers of that border ought to have been manned by KDF forces under the AMISOM arrangement.
Yes.
But we
Who
have a
is manning
situation
it
where
now?
it's now being manned by Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is absent from the scene because it's not their border, and they have never deployed anybody. So we've told the government it is in the interest of this country that that area be manned by KDF and not be left
buffer
Ethiopia.
zone.
That has no interest.
Because Ethiopia has no border.
So rather than have people sitting in Kismayo and
Kismayo.
selling
Yeah.
sugar and things, they should actually be guarding our borders. The second point is you have got KDF forces
In Kenya.
in Kenya. There's a camp in Mandera and other temporary camps. But nobody is being deployed on full-time basis to do patrols. And there are less than how many? There are less
Why
than
can't they
200.
even be there?
Wait a
inside
minute, there are
Somalia?
less than 200. Why would you have thousands of KDF forces sitting in Langata, in Kahawa, in Nanyuki, in every Nyali, and every part of this country, and yet they are not guarding our borders? And we are being attacked by people crossing. So that when this incident of 2 weeks ago happened, of the people who went to get firewood and were killed, and they crossed, I remember calling the county commissioner. I said, you have KDF forces there. What stops the KDF from pursuing those guys across the
Inside,
border?
yeah.
Nothing. When this one happened, what stopped KDF from pursuing immediately? It's in broad daylight. This is not a forest. It's an open area.
Yeah.
There are
So there was no
helicopters in
pursuit
Wajir.
of this particular attack.
After 5 hours or more is when they arrived. The vehicle is in Bardara. So I think we have a serious failure.
But
in
is it
KDF.
possible to man the 200 kilometers you're talking
Patrols.
about? To patrol that.
How are you manning? How are you patrolling Somalia, which is hundreds, which are
Yeah,
thousands of
you need
kilometers?
to have aerial cover and
No, let me put
surveillance.
it into the correct perspective. I discussed, system failure, security system failure. Al-Shabaab don't use the main road. They use off-road. They move on foot, and they're able to go through those bushes and get to the road. Our security officers patrol using vehicles and using the main road. We will never win, against the terrorists around that area in that kind of engagement. Infantry patrols are required. And we say, well, if the security forces fear doing patrols, can we then zone the borderline? There are about 15 centers, settlements along this borderline. And can we then employ KPRs trained by Kenya Police, tasked by Kenya Police, who will be patrolling? We zone from here to here. It's the responsibility of this KPR, and provide them with logistics. And then they patrol on foot to the border. They're able to engage with these people. This is one of the key recommendations we made, so that we're able to secure the border. Otherwise, by moving along the main road, they see you, they move away. You will never disembark off your vehicle and move on foot. So how are you going to win?
The county commissioner, according to you, claims this is banditry, not terrorism. Is there any possibility of local infighting?
Dozens of people have been arrested, terrorists.
Yes.
By the anti-terror police unit that is there.
Those are Somalis.
Yes, and non-Somalis. I mean, they've been in court. You have seen fellows from Kakamega, fellows from everywhere. You have seen it in the media. I mean, you guys also, you're the ones who have been running those stories. They include fellows from upcountry. That's the crossing point into Somalia. When they recruit from this country or Tanzania or wherever, that has been a route that people use to cross them into Somalia. So that's why a lot of different nationalities are involved and have been arrested there. So it's not that the government doesn't know who these people are. They are known. They have arrested so many. They have intelligence. It's just that the level of intelligence to preempt attacks, the level of action required to patrol and to keep the county the safe, and the level of activity required to ensure that those people who are terrorizers and infiltrators in the country are also dealt with. Those actions are not taking place. That's why you are in a town, a county headquarters, People know who is, who are the people who work with these people, and there's no action really that gets taken. When they are arrested, they get discharged after a short while. So it's not about not being terrorists. Everyone knows they are, and I don't think the government will doubt that these people are terrorists. That's not a matter under discussion, really.
Let me just say, I mean, obviously there's a bit of feedback from people who are watching this, the people in Mandera who are listening to the leaders here, and the feedback is persistent on this matter of clanism and tribalism as a factor in this insecurity. Somebody, for example, says this is purely political and tribal. Though the Al-Shabaab threat exists, clanism is to blame for the persistent attacks. There's incitement between clans. I don't know to what extent, the president held a meeting with the you leaders from Mandera at State House one time and sent you back to sit with the elders and agree. I think he charged Yusuf Haji to oversee that. That is persisting about the clans there. Can we deal with this matter? For example, the two of you are from one clan. Is that the case? We are from which clan? And what is the other clan? And what are the clan issues? And when people talk about clans, what are they referring to? And what is the merit in that claim?
Let me just answer this.
Yeah.
I'm the head of the county government.
Yes.
I look after nothing but the interest of Mandera County. We've had inter-clan challenges between Gere and Dogodia, which for the last 6 months, we thank Almighty Allah, it has subsided.
Yeah.
I have no suspicion whatsoever, as the head of the county government, that there's any issue to do with clan rivalry in this issue of terror. And this is extremely critical for people to understand. The natural setting is that, when a leader who is killed so happens to come from one given community, and the area of terror attack is in an environment where another clan lives, the public are just generally suspicious. They share information this way, that way. But we have intelligence information that
shows
indicate otherwise.
Well, particularly this one, because the Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility.
We don't want, anybody trying to divert the actual problem. What have quarry workers to do with clanism? What have teachers to do with clanism? Sometimes it sounds extremely ridiculous for anybody to even discuss this context. What have the innocent people who have been killed in Mandera just the other day have to do with clanism? Yet they are there to provide services that are given. This, and I can attest, maybe the sender of that message is a sympathizer of Al-Shabaab because of radicalization problem that is happening in the county.
Quite a bit of text messages actually alluding to that fact of the clan factor. Perhaps, as you explained, that may have subsided.
Yes.
But is it a recognition and acknowledgement that it was there? It was a problem before, and that this particular attack may be different because the Al-Shabaab have already claimed the responsibility.
David, it's not about this particular attack.
Yeah.
The theater for the conflict is different. The tribal conflict between the Gere and Dogodia is in Mandera North. It's over 100 kilometers away from Mandera.
Right.
It's on the border with Ethiopia. Completely
We've
different
never
region.
had a single terror
The
attack.
area where these things are happening
In
is
Mandera
another
town.
clan that lives called Murules, the ones who live there. It's in the eastern part of the county. And completely and the way the dynamics of the way people live, there's no way one group can move from there. And the two of us come from the Gere community, which is the largest community. If any other community was involved in this thing and we knew it was a clan matter, we would know it. I mean, there's nothing that would be hidden from within the community. It's not about a clan. This thing, these are the diversionary things that the sympathizers or those guys are playing. But the fact remains, when Mpeketoni was attacked, the government played that story, it was politics. But ultimately, it came out to be Al-Shabaab. This thing has been going on for 2 years. You cannot tell us for 2 years all the things that are happening. The bombs, the explosions, the attacks, the bus, the quarry, everything happening on that road. It's clanism, and the government would not know about it. No. I mean, the government has opened...
There's the argument, somebody comes to the defense of the county commissioner, says, what you guys want is a county commissioner who is amenable to, your interests or ideas, but the county commissioner is being retained there because he's a neutral person, being fact that he's not a Somali. What is your
Well,
response
I want to
that?
say, what is the interest of I mean, I'm the governor of that county. What is my primary interest?
It's peace. That county.
Is to have a peace of mind
Yeah.
for me to concentrate on development. For heaven's sake, the other county commissioner was there. Why have never had any issue, you know, in regards to this? They are deputy county commissioners, you know, who are managing the 6 sub-counties that there is. Why aren't we discussing, you know, this issue?
Yeah.
Mandera North is where the problem, the epicenter of the problem between the Gara and the Godia. We've never had a single incident of terror in that area, nor Mandera South or Takaba or Banisa. You know, it's limited to Mandera town and the road between Mandera and Arabia and Fino. You know, the public,
Yeah.
the person who was killed is a prominent leader, who is the immediate former chairman. The area where the attack happened so happens to be an area where it's predominantly by the Murule clan. The other guy comes from the Gare clan. Innocent public will interpret information, you know, in this way or that way. But we know better, you know, we have intelligence information. The Al-Shabaab have taken ownership of the incident, you know, inside Somalia.
Yeah.
And we are trying, you know, there's a proverb in my community that they say, you say the lion is here, but nyayo yake iko wapi? Why are you looking for nyayo? Then you see the lion.
Yeah.
You understand what I
The
mean?
question, and I may ask this. This looks like pointed to what we are explaining, and the argument that there is an internal a component to this terrorist attack. Somebody says, how well did the terrorists, Al-Shabaab, know that you were going to take that route?
Ah, that's simple.
You know, that there must be people who are working within the system.
David, that's simple. That's simple. I mean, we've said it, and I think we've said it so many times.
Yes.
That town has been infiltrated by sympathizers, and they have cells. When he started, he said there are cells.
Yes, he talked about the cells.
So that's how they planned the bus attack. How did they know that there's a bus carrying a lot of our country people? It's happening, and we know it. That's why there have been a lot of activity in town by the security forces. That's why they've been making arrests. I mean, the town is this focal point from which most of these terrorists. We gave examples that from in 1998, the bomb attack here. Some of those people came through that town. The Westgate guys, one of the suspects, came through that town. Many of the key suspects really that move into out of Somalia, that is the key. Because these are 2 towns that are touching each other. There's no buffer in between. There's no border. There's no security. 2 towns that are just separated apart by, you know, a street.
Yes.
So I think it's a matter that it's pretty obvious that, and that's why we've said, how do you have a situation where a town is infiltrated and we have people there and nobody's doing anything about it, and that they monitor every movement. That's why they planted IEDs in the roads that he's using. That's why they're doing it, you know. And every day we get intelligence, by the way, even from those pastoralists.
Yeah.
Ask him, what is the latest? You'll be told hundreds, dozens of them were seen in that village last night. So many of them were seen walking in that place. These reports coming routinely.
Okay.
Routinely, yeah.
All right.
Now,
We're coming to a conclusion, but you know, I'll allow you to make your remarks first.
I want to say, you know, you can never solve a problem whose existence you don't acknowledge. The 1998 bombing of U.S. Embassy, 2 of the terrorists are believed to have entered and exited through Mandera, and one of them was later killed, you know, in Somalia. The Westgate attack, 2 of the terrorists are believed to have come through Mandera. One of them actually to have lived in Mandera for over a month before moving up. The vehicle that was caught in Mombasa wired with heavy explosives.
Yes.
The driver is from Mandera, and is a young man who's schooled in Mandera, but who is from across. And the owner is believed the Pangani vehicle that exploded. The owners, the occupants, are believed to have come through Mandera, lived in Mandera. The attacks are happening on daily basis. It's just extremely ridiculous, you know, as leaders or even press. You know, if you will sit around and start looking for other side issues, The question becomes, you know, for me, if there is clan angle, whose responsibility is it to determine this clan angle and make it public?
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
what would clan angle have to do with that?
Well stated.
So
Yep.
the issues here are Kenyans are dying, you know. Over 90, you know, innocent Kenyans have died in the hands of terror over the last 7 months. You can claim this, claim that, but somebody is responsible. Somebody is in charge. You know, we want.
You think if we get rid of the county commissioner, the problem
is a minute solution, because I've discussed system failure. You
system
understand?
failure.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not an absolute solution to the problem
Okay.
at hand.
All right.
But we need consistency.
Okay.
A decision is made. An operation command center has been established. We want the operation command center managed, consistently delivering the same result every day for the next 1 year or so, until we manage to control this situation.
Okay.
Now, if it works for 4 months, 4 weeks, and it's dead, who is in charge? I mean, who needs to be questioned?
All right.
We ask the
Governor,
president, send us this, send us, and we get it.
But
so
the
who is
people
managing on the ground?
On the ground are the ones
You know?
failing the government machinery.
Yeah.
Final question to you, Governor. You have survived 2 attacks, or perhaps more. The ones we know
5.
were like 2. You seem to be a target of elimination yourself. So what, how are you handling this? Have you had discussions for enforcement or even your own security? Or are you still using KPR?
Actually, we are using Kenya Police, administration and Kenya Police, and we're also using KPR because we are allowed limited number of security, and the area where we are in is an area that is characterized by the problem that we just discussed. However, the county commander of police, county commander of AP, the CID are supportive. Whenever there is increased threat and we make requests, for additional officers, we get supported. We've requested a few other measures that we feel will help in mitigating the risk or reducing the severity of occurrence of the event should it occur. And it's been extremely frustrating. In the recent past, we've had discussion that it's going to get the due attention that is required, which I don't want to dwell on.
Yes.
But, we have a problem. We have a radicalization problem that is engulfing society across the country. It's not about Mandera. It has moved. Non-Somalis are getting held for absolute involvement in terror inside Mandera.
That's true.
Mombasa, yeah. Nairobi, Nakuru.
Yeah.
As a society, as a government, we need to acknowledge we have a problem. We need to deal with that radicalization problem. 2, Gedo region must be put under the control of KDF, because Ethiopia does not border. The limited area that they border, they have 100% control, and that is the Dolo area.
Yes.
There is no single incident of terror happening across, but it's happening in Kenya because it's free for all. Yeah. Now, our KDF should concentrate on defending this nation before we go into the responsibility of,
of the other sectors that have been deployed. We need to deploy further, additional to the sectors they're handling.
Absolutely. Gedo region, which is the area, Gedo region need to be taken over. Yeah. There are other mitigative factors, that need to be put in place, and radical redesign of how we are managing security system in where it has been determined beyond any reasonable doubt is the gate to terror entry into Kenya. That gate needs to be kept locked and guarded.
Thank you very much, Governor. I think spoken. Finally, Senator, you have been, of course, a regular guest here on these matters. We have not dealt with the matter we discussed last when we were here, but I think it is still persisting in terms of, I can see teachers saying now, how do you still expect us to go there? Just a last word. And then in terms of security, your Senate committee, obviously you're saying, has been tackling this matter. Is there any step expected next for people in Mandera now who might be threatened by this high-rising insecurity? In a nutshell, then we close.
I think the main area, or not the main really, the actual area where these things are happening, the terrorism attacks, is Mandera town, the county headquarters. Mandera is an area of 26,000 square kilometers. All the other parts of the county are completely peaceful, more peaceful than even Nairobi or any other parts of this country. If you talk of Elwak, Takaba, Banisa, all the other areas. Our problem is that Mandera town border with Somalia. So for teachers and other public servants in other parts of the county, they absolutely have, in fact, are more at peace than in any other place in this country. Now, but of course, the consistent attacks in Mandera town and the picture really of insecurity and threats of of insecurity clearly, of course, discourages people from going there. And I think it is really, and that's why we feel today anybody who goes to Mandera town feels more insecure in Mandera town than in Mogadishu. That's why when you hear, the governor for Mandera asked for an armored vehicle, you start wondering then, are we in Somalia? Why would anybody in Kenya want to have an armored vehicle? That's the extent to which we believe the government has failed, has neglected, has really ignored the people of Mandera. And this is the resentment that is building up in that country.
Right.
A resentment that is reinforced by the lack of concern in other areas. For example, the fact that because of the terrorist infiltration, for 2 years the issue of ID cards has been suspended in that town. Students who qualified from Form 4, unable to pursue education. My office here does nothing else. Every day we issue letters requesting ID cards to be issued in Nairobi. Why should I have to do that?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of concern really, and I think the government needs to particularly deploy the KDF on the border, because this is a national security matter. It's the border.
All right.
Police and AP cannot guard borders. So we think that the president needs to crack the whip really on his people and secure that town. The feeling, the resentment has reached a point where people think we need to, if the government is not providing security, we should provide our own security. They should tell us, we are unable, you guys, look after yourselves. We can't.
All right. Thank you, Senator Bilokero Mandera and Governor Ali Roba, for joining us from your troubled county. I'm sure people waiting for you there, even with the attacks that are happening. I wish you the best. Thank you for watching Power Breakfast. We're looking at insecurity and the terror attacks in Mandera and whether really they're terrorists.